Hello, and I'm excited to have you join us again for PPL422 Landlord 2. Remember, Landlord 1, we majored on customary land tenure. Landlord 2, we are now looking at the Land Use Act and other statutes that guide land law in Nigeria. And of course, we have had some topics and I hope you have found them interesting. So today we are treating another topic that will enrich your knowledge on land law and prepare you, to practice well as lawyers in this very interesting and rewarding field. So let's not waste time. Let's go on and see what we have for today. So this is our eighth and final lesson for this semester. And in this lesson, we'll be looking at mortgages. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to define what a mortgage is, talk about the types of mortgages and the ways in which they are created, explain what is meant by equity of redemption and the effect of a clog on the equity of redemption. So, what's a mortgage? It's a bit difficult to define, but two basic definitions are given in this lesson. First is the conveyance of a legal or equitable interest in property with provision for redemption. And then another definition is that it is the conveyance of land or assignment of chattels as security for payment of a debt or discharge of some other obligation. So in essence, a mortgage involves the conveyance of title over land by a borrower to a lender as security for a loan, right? And upon payment of the loan, the mortgage can be redeemed, meaning the land will go back to the borrower. The parties to a mortgage are the mortgagor, who is the borrower, and the lender, who is the mortgagee, who is the lender. There are two basic types of mortgages. You have the legal mortgage and the equitable mortgage. There are different ways to create a legal mortgage, and there are also different ways to create an equitable mortgage. We'll look at both. So let's look at the ways in which you can create a legal mortgage. First is the conveyance of beneficial interest in a land that is subject to fee simple land, together with a covenant for repayment of the loan, and then a proviso that upon repayment of the loan, the the person who conveyed beneficial interest, that's the borrower, will be able to recover the fee simple interest. Now, you must note that interest that is being conveyed here is the entire interest, not part of it. And then you have the second type of mortgage, which is the mortgage of a lease. So it means that someone who is party to a lease, the lessee under a lease, wishing to borrow money from a third party can, mortgage that lease in order to get the loan. And there are two types. You have the conveyance of a sublease with the reversion. So the mortgagor leaves no reversion for himself. The entire lease, is conveyed or is sublet to the mortgagor. And the implication of this is that the mortgagee's liability under a sublease with reversion is limited only to those negative covenants, because the mortgagee, the relationship between the mortgagor and the lessor still remains. Please note, I'll need to stress that again, that conveyance of a sublease with reversion means that the mortgagor leaves some time extra for himself. So upon the termination of the mortgage, it still remains the lessor for a while before he passes title to remains in the sea before he passes title to the lessor. And then the second form of creation of a mortgage of a sublease is where the entire leasehold interest is conveyed to the mortgagee without reversion. So the mortgagor does not leave any interest for him in himself. In other words, he has stepped out of the relationship, and the relationship is now directly between the lessor, the original lessor, and the mortgagee. So the mortgagee becomes lessee to the original lessor. And the effect, of course, is that the mortgagee is therefore liable to the lessor for the performance of all the covenants on the land. This is less preferable than the first option. So, to your first activity, who are the parties to a mortgage transaction? So let's go on to look at equitable mortgage. We have looked at legal mortgage, modes of creating a legal mortgage, and remember we said assignment of fee simple or lease, mortgage of an existing lease, which is of two types, right? Existing a mortgage of entire lease or mortgage with reversion. Okay, now to equitable mortgage. An equitable mortgage can be created in many ways as well, where you know the owner of a holder of fee simple interest in land engages in a second or subsequent mortgage in respect of the same land. Any such mortgage, the second and subsequent, will be an equitable mortgage because there's already a legal mortgage over that property. And then it could also be created by a written agreement to create a mortgage in favor of the mortgagee. So the mortgagor will be duty bound, to for specific performance to therefore create a mortgage. And the third is the deposit of title deeds. That is an equitable way of creating a mortgage. And the fourth is a fusion of the first and the third. So first and the second and the third. So where there's a written agreement to create a mortgage and title deeds are deposited from the mortgagor to the mortgagee, then you have an equitable mortgage. So now let's quickly look at your equity of redemption. The rule is once a mortgage, always a mortgage, and the authority for that is Samuel and Jara's Timber Company. Because redemption is the essence of mortgage. If you remember how we define mortgage, we noted that there's always that proviso for redemption. So equity would want, a mortgagor to be able to redeem. Though under common law, when the term of the mortgage comes to an end and the mortgagor has not been able to redeem, he will be foreclosed. But for equity, equity allows him an extra 6 months to redeem. So if he's able to redeem within the 6 month period after the end of the mortgage, it will still be valid redemption, and he will be entitled, to a return of the mortgage security. Now, to clog on equity or redemption, a clog, of course, is something that stops maybe a will, something from working properly. So, a clog on equity or redemption is an attempt by the mortgagee to frustrate or postpone the right of the mortgagor to redeem the mortgage. So any act which the mortgagee or agreement which the mortgagee enters into with the mortgagor, which has the effect of frustrating or postponing the mortgagor's power to redeem the mortgage, will be deemed to be a clog on the equity of redemption. So you have many cases, right? You have Nooks and Bryce, you have Bradley and Carried. And of course, I've mentioned the fact that once a mortgage, always a mortgage. So for instance, where a mortgagee enters into a contract that makes him an agent of the mortgagor even after the mortgage has been satisfied, then that the court will hold it as and a clog on the equity of redemption, and any such act will render the mortgage transaction void. It is not allowed in law for the mortgagee to try to put a clog on the mortgagor's equity of redemption. So to your second activity, what is the effect of a clog on equity of redemption? We have come to the end of this lesson where we have learned how to define a mortgage, the types of mortgage and the modes of creation of same, the meaning of equity of redemption, and the effect of an act which may constitute an equity, a clog on the equity of redemption. You can download this video and you can watch it again and again. And if you have it, you can post it on the discussion forum and then we will answer it. So until, well, this is our last class. So I wish you all the best in your course. And just to say, take care and stay safe.